anytime look better. Yeah. You're looking very
You guys
cute.
are under recording, huh? Everyone will hear whatever you'll say.
Okay.
Be careful. All right. Over to you, Dr. Anju.
Okay. I'll switch off my video.
Okay.
So today we will talk about PASS theory. This is PASS theory. And if you have to pass the exam, you can't pass this theory. So you have to go through the PASS theory to pass the exam. Okay. So we have already heard about the theories of Spearman. He was our Avengers, his Spearman. And then we had the criticisms of Thorndike, Thomson, Thurston for the Spearman theories. And they all we discussed last time, which went till long session. So now we are off to PASS theory, which is which is based on A.R. Luria's work. So basically, all the work is done by Luria, and afterwards, Das, Naglieri, and Kirby worked on Luria's work and modified it to make PASS theory. So Luria was the first one who gave this theory, but he was not giving the 4 systems. He was giving 3 systems. So Das, Naglieri, and Kirby made it 4 systems and made it PASS. So 4 components of PASS theory is planning, attention, arousal, simultaneous processing systems, and successive processing system. So because I got Indian scientist Dr. J.P. Das in this theory, so I searched in Google and I got his photo to say thank you through this class. Thank you, Dr. J.P. Das, for giving us PASS theory. Some Indian name at least, which is quite famous. And this is the book which they published for the PASS theory of intelligence. So I took a photo of the book also. We should obviously give respect to their works.
We do.
Yeah. So Luria. So first, obviously, we have to understand Luria's work to understand PASS work. So Luria developed. Why it's there? Sorry. Yeah. Luria divided some process into 3 primary functional units. You read this now, I will anyway explain it. First unit is, there are 3 functional units. The first functional unit is maintaining appropriate cortical arousal and attention to allow for adequate vigilance and discrimination between stimuli. This is the first unit, first functional unit. Second unit is responsible for obtaining, elaborating upon, and storing information using 2 types of processes, simultaneous process and successive process. The third functional unit is responsible for programming as well as regulation and control of mental activity, like executive functioning. Planning, self-monitoring, and structuring of cognitive activities are provided by this functional unit. So about first functional unit. Here, the attention and, arousal and attention happens, and it is located in the brain stem and the reticular activating system. So this is the brain stem, pons and medulla oblongata. This later continues with the spinal cord. So this is the place, brain stem, where the first functional unit works. Okay. So when a multi-dimensional stimulus array is presented to the subject, selective recognition of a particular stimulus and inhibition of responses to irrelevant stimulus occurs. This all occurs in the brain stem. So what happens when you get arousal means you are getting multiple stimulus to your brain. Suppose at a time you are getting so many things. So suppose you are sitting in this class, you're getting one stimulus, which is my voice. Second stimulus is some background voice. Third stimulus is your child shouting in the back. Fourth stimulus, maybe you're thinking something So these are different stimulus you are getting. Out of that, you inhibit or you avoid or neglect some stimulus, and you put your attention to one and most important, what you think most important, not necessarily it need to be most important, but what you think most important, towards that stimulus, you put your attention. So that is first function unit. You get stimulus, that is arousal. Then you give your attention towards that, that is attention. So arousal, attention. This is first functional unit, and this occurs in the brainstem and diencephalon, that part of the brain. Then is second functional unit. Luria said that two basic forms of integrative activity of the cerebral cortex occurs. So simultaneous processing is associated with the occipital parietal areas of the brain. The green part is the occipital part of the brain, and parietal areas are the blue part. This is half of the brain we are seeing from the side. We are seeing from the left side of one person's head. So suppose here is the face. So this is the back part of the brain. This is occiput, this is parietal. Everything is half. This is hemisphere of the brain. Other hemisphere is other side, which we are not able to see. So the simultaneous processing occurs at the occiput and parietal. These two, red and blue, green and blue, sorry, green and blue part of the brain, okay? And the successive processing occurs at the frontotemporal. This is frontal part of the brain, and this is temporal part of the brain. Yellow and purple, they are frontotemporal areas of the brain. So simultaneous process occurs at occipitoparietal area, and successive processing occurs at fronto-occipital area. Now, what is simultaneous processing and what is successive processing? Simultaneous processing is thinking so many things at the same time, means processing so many information at the same time. There was one example was given, which is like draw a triangle above a square that is to the left of a circle under a cross. This is the example given. So when we think simultaneously, we have to think all the geometrical designs at a time. Triangle we have to draw above the square, then it should be left of the circle. This is simultaneous processing. You are thinking all things together. Successive processing is like one after the other. Like we start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We know that after 4, 5 will come. If you start counting 9, 8, 5, 3, 4, 6, like that, then it will not work. That is not successive. You will think that no, something is wrong. It should not go. Or when you talk language, you know that in sentence, the noun should come first, then it is like that. You can make sentences like that. So that is also successive processing. Or when you learn the tables, multiplication tables, you know that 2 2s are, after that it should be 2 3s are, 2 4s are, and if something does not come in the line, you know that no, something is wrong. That is successive processing of the brain. Am I clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I told you that successive processing is associated with the frontotemporal area of the brain and involves the integration of stimuli in a specific serial order, where each component is related to the next. Like if you say 9, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, like that. So it is not related to the next. So then we don't call it as successive processing. Only if it is 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like that. Or we can say Sare Gama Padani. These are also successive processing. So each link integrated into a series can evoke only a particular chain of successive links. One thing you said, and it will keep on making a chain following each other in a serial order. So next is third functional unit. Third functional unit is located in the prefrontal division. This yellow part is whole of frontal bone. I told you here is the face. So this is whole of the frontal bone. Prefrontal is this part of the brain. Prefrontal area of the brain. So third functional unit is located in the prefrontal divisions of the frontal lobes of the brain. Okay. So here planning processes, they provide for the programming, regulation, and verification of behavior. So this functional unit provides for the most complex aspect of the human behavior, including the personality and consciousness. So, such as asking questions, problem solving, capacity for self-monitoring, and other activities of the third functional unit are like regulation of voluntary activity. Sometimes we will be simply standing, doing nothing, and simply we will be like tapping our foot down, or towards the railing we'll be tapping our foot. That is voluntary activity, which we will be doing involuntary. And then impulse control or various language skills and spontaneous conversations. Like if someone asks you, how are you? Without thinking, you will say, I'm fine. You don't think. These are spontaneous conversations. Someone says, Jor se bolo, you will say Jai Mata Di. Because this is how it happens. So same way, those are spontaneous conversations. These are the planning processes going through in the prefrontal area. So we can say that it is the third and most important functional unit of the planning and processing. So this was the three functional units of Luria. So taking from Luria, this is given in the book, the photo, which you cannot see full because I cannot see full. I'll just make it short and show you.
Is
Here
that
you
in the
can
book also? Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's there in the book. So first you will get the input. You will get either serial, tell me a table, that is serial input. Concurrent input, how are you? This is concurrent input. Or make a triangle on the square beside the left of the circle, that is also concurrent input. Okay, so it goes through first arousal. Arousal means you will wake up. So there will be 2-3 questions. Are you sleeping? Can you tell me one thing? Do you know the table of 4? Like that. 3 questions came suddenly. So out of that, you will give attention to most important one. Okay, table of 4. This is the attention. So first is arousal. Sleeping brain will hear all the 3 questions, but attention will be given only to table of 4. He will not tell. Now, when you are asked these questions, you will not tell that, are you sleeping? You didn't answer that. Can you tell me this also? You didn't answer that. You will just concentrate on the table of 4, these words. So that is attention. You might have heard about attention somewhere else also. Like there is attention deficit disorders, especially in kids. Nowadays also we are seeing quite frequently hyperactivity attention deficit disorder, HDAD we call it. So like kid is hyperactive and he's thinking that I'm not having enough attention of the mother. In that process, he will lose his own attention towards whatever is being said to him. Or we can say sometimes, same again, we can call to Tare Zameen Par. So there also teacher used to complain, whatever I am teaching in the class, he is not giving attention only. That is again attention deficit disorder. But he had dyslexia, that is different. But otherwise also attention deficit disorder is quite common. So that is attention, that is different than arousal. Arousal is awakening the brain. Attention is bringing it to most important part of the whatever input is given. Okay. So first is arousal and attention. Then it goes to brainstem. On the brainstem, our memory, 4 ka table, conceptual, should I tell or not? And perceptual things will come. How it all depends on what all things cultural. We, according to the culture, we start arousal. Because some places, if you say something, it may not arouse the brain. Some words. Suppose in a girl's hostel, you say, see a girl. It will not arouse something. In a boy's hostel, if you say, hey, go see that's a girl. Obviously, it will be severe arousal. So that is the cultural differences which causes the arousal. And same way, cultural differences causes the attention differentiation also. So those all things happen in the brainstem. Then it goes to the processing process of processing. So this is second functional unit. You will think either simultaneous processing or successive processing depending on how is the input. Input is serial, you will see successive processing. Input is concurrent, you will do the simultaneous processing. Then it will go to planning. How will you answer? That is spontaneous conversation, spontaneous answers will come to you, and this will be the output. You will give serial, you will tell the table of 4, that is serial. You will make a triangle on the rectangle beside the circle, that is concurrent output. I think I'm clear here. So now we come to past theory. Past theory, the full form is P for planning, A for arousal or attention, S is for simultaneous processing, and another S is for successive processing. So actually, first thing happens is arousal. Second thing happens is processing, either simultaneous or successive, and next thing happens is planning. So in that case, it should have been called ASSP, ASP, but maybe it was not sounding good or sounding vulgar. That's why they kept it past theory instead of ASP theory. So first thing is, those 3 functional units you understood. Next is planning. Planning processes are involved when a person is asked to decide how to perform a test and is inhibited by the imposition of strict rules. Yeah, you can, like same way, you draw a triangle. So that is how decided. It is asked to draw a triangle. Okay. But then comes the strict rules, but it should be ever above a rectangle, and it should be beside left of the circle, and it should be whatever I forgot. So those are the strict rules about how to perform. So then the planning processes happen. Means you just can't just keep on drawing a triangle. Now you have to keep on drawing a triangle with these rules on. So past theory, now coming proper to the past theory. First thing is attention and arousal. It's a complex process of the past theory. Arousal keeps the person alert. Means sleeping brain will become alert by doing the arousal. Again, arousal should be optimum. Optimal arousal is needed to focus our attention to relevant aspects of the problem. Too little or too much arousal would again interfere with the attention. I'll give you one example. Suppose you are in the class, or now in this class, if I tell that this slide is the most important slide you need to write in the assignment, obviously your attention will increase. If something we tell that this is most important part, this is hit question for the exam, obviously our attention becomes more for that part. So that is arousal, appropriate arousal or optimal arousal. If we give too little arousal, then attention will not come that much. Or even if you give too much arousal, then all attention does not come, as it comes with mummies. They keep on bugging us, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room. That is too much of arousal. So we don't give the attention. Got it? So it should be optimal arousal to take your attention. Now again, I can't see. So you can integrate the information into your knowledge system either simultaneously or successively. Means whatever information is already there, it's not there once arousal or attention happened, then you start gathering the memory, then you start processing the information. No, it's already there. The answer is already there inside you. You only have to bring it out. Here there is no learning, here there is no memory, here there is no information processing. It's already there inside you. You just have to bring it out. So either you bring it out simultaneously or you bring it out successively. So simultaneous processes takes place when you perceive the relations among various concepts and integrate them into a meaningful pattern for comprehensions. Means first you make the sentence in the mind, then you speak it out at a time. Means you process so many things at a time and then speak it out or do it. That is simultaneous processing. Successive processing, already I have given so many examples. So it takes place when you remember all the information serially. 4 comes before 5, 4 comes after 3, but before 5, like that. So when you serially think, and so that the recall of one leads to the recall of other. Like when first you tell the table of 8, then you tell the table of 9, then you tell the table of 10, one after the other, serially. So that is successive processing takes place inside your mind. But it's not that now you have to remember 8 ka table, ya 9 ka table, ya 10 ka table. It's already there. You already remember it. You just have to process how to speak it out loud when you are being aroused for that question. So it is suggested that both simultaneous and successive processes must be used in the processing of cognitive tasks. But what do we do with this suggestion? As if consciously we are doing simultaneous or successive process. I don't know why they have written this sentence, as if we are doing it consciously. Unconsciously, subconsciously, we are doing this. So even if you give suggestion, it's none of our use. So planning is the next result after processing, and it's the essential feature of intelligence. After the information is attended to in the mind and it is processed by whatever method, the planning is activated. So these all things actually takes very minimal time, some nanoseconds. These are happening very fast. In brain got aroused, it got attention to the question, and then the process happened, and then planning is matlab your course of action. So it allows us, planning is before you do it, you plan to do, that is planning. You do is your action. So it allows us to think of the possible course of action, means how are we going to do this thing, work or whatever, the test. So if a plan does not work, then it is modified to suit the requirement of the task or situation. Like some questions are not asked directly. Some questions are asked ghuma ke, some indirect questions. So it means that straight thing which came in our mind, we cannot write now that. Then it is modified to suit the requirement of the task or the situation. So these past process, these all 4 processes, attention, arousal, all those things, these past processes work on a knowledge base. As I told you, this knowledge is already there inside you. Now you will not go after asking question, you will not go to get the knowledge. It's already there. And the base of knowledge is intended to represent all information obtained from the cultural and social background of the individual. Already the person knows. Same thing, if you say some words in some culture, it will not do the arousal. What to say?
The base of knowledge can also be considered as a G factor. What Spearman has spoken, he says that to do anything, we need to have some general knowledge or general intelligence to perform that specific task.
General intelligence is already there, but intelligence should be there, it seems. So it's already there, and that you have just to processing now. You're not gaining the knowledge now.
Yeah. So the intelligence is a different story, but when we are talking about knowledge here, right?
Yeah.
Knowledge, with the help of knowledge only, we start accumulating information in our brain, and then we started finding a meaning to it. So here it's saying the same thing, that the base of the knowledge is intended to represent all the information obtained from the cultural and social background of the individual. So now the G factor could be from cultural and social background instead of
Yes.
other background.
Yeah. So no, this processing, what processing is happening in simultaneous and successive processing, it depends on what is the cultural and social background of the person. Because if same question you ask to someone else, someone other person with different cultural and social background, his processing will not be of same thing.
Yeah.
His processing also will be same if only his cultural and social background is same. Like same question, if you ask to how to say, like if you do it different person, their processing will give you different result.
Yeah, that's true.
So that is the base of knowledge that is already there in the body, in the mind, and only it has to process when the question is asked.
Yeah.
So
Prahash, actually, when we talk about G factor is nothing but the general knowledge of anything. And then, for example, language, we can consider it as a cultural factor, but also it's a common factor, because language could be of different type. Like, it could be in English, it could be in Hindi, it could be in Spanish, it could be in Malayalam, Telugu, Kannada. So language is a G factor, but these the other language, the Hindi, English, whatever others are specific. So using the base as language, we are doing multiple things. So for example, if we are studying in a English language school, a school which is more about English, so what will happen? Anything and everything will be in English. So whether it's science, maths, or other subject, it will be in English. So the G factor could be that the person should have knowledge of English, then only he would be able to answer all those areas. Now, if you take, so there are some languages which are almost similar, right? So if we know one or two language, sometimes we find out what could be the third language also. So this is not a, what was that guy, Thorndike, who said this, ki, okay, multiple, no,
factor.
no, not multiple factor. I don't know why I'm not getting that word. Anyways, so the G factor is that particular thing. So here, if we talk about culture and social background, so the G factor is the base of knowledge, the general knowledge which everyone has. And then they evolve. So culture could be different. A culture in North India is very different. South India is very different. Abroad is very different. But culture.
No, here background is of every individual, not G factor which everyone has. Even specific.
No, even for individual, because if I'm an individual and I want to understand culture, so how will I understand it? So I'm just trying to relate what we are studying in this. Instead of me saying base of knowledge, I'm putting it, okay, let's see it as a G factor, because this is what we are studying in this whole chapter. And that should be common in everything, and this is how we evolve. That's just I felt that, so I said I'm not sure if that makes
Now
sense.
here the background of the individual, and actually here the knowledge base, the base of knowledge, which is very integral part of past model.
Where
Here
is the knowledge coming from? The
knowledge. No, this knowledge is everything, is including G and including specific factor. It is only about, here it's not about getting the knowledge or getting the intelligence. It's about how you are processing the already knowledge which is there inside you. So suppose if I am sleeping, deep sleep, someone wakes me up and asks me that person is vomiting, what to do? Immediately, without thinking, I will say, oh, give metoclopramide, because this knowledge is already inside me. Now suppose you are sleeping and someone wakes you up, that person is vomiting, what to do? Your immediate response will be call the doctor, because that is your knowledge inside you. So each person is inside the person, even the specific intelligence also is included in that. Each person is having what knowledge already inside their mind, that is processed in the past process. Not only the general intelligence, all intelligence, including cultural and social background, including, and whatever they do, specific intelligence, including. That is the past process.
I was not talking about that. I was not talking about what you're saying. I was just saying that the word which you have used, base of knowledge, when we are talking about base of knowledge, it has come from somewhere. Okay, that's why we are able to relate it. That's what the only point I wanted to put. Otherwise, what you're saying is absolutely right. We are talking advanced now here. We are not talking basic.
Yeah.
Even saying that call the doctor or give this requires intelligence. So how does that come? Because we know these basic things, then only we are able to say, right?
Say this.
Otherwise we
Yeah.
won't be able to say. So how does that came into our brain? So I get into those aspects instead of that.
That is because of past experience, what you have experienced in the past. Because same thing, if you ask to a 7-year-old or 5-year-old kid that person is vomiting, that 5-year-old kid will not be understanding what to do, what to say, because that experience has not come in his knowledge base.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So knowledge base is an integral component of the past model, and therefore all processes are embedded within this dimension. The base of knowledge is intended to represent all information obtained from the social, cultural, and past experiences of the individual, because it determines the form of mental activity. So like children's use of language, whatever language we talk with children, they learn it very fast because that is what they experience daily. So children's use of language to analyze, to generalize, and to encode experience is a critical determinant of the base of knowledge, because mental processes cannot develop apart from the appropriate forms of social life. So Das has to say about his own theory of past theory, like it has given us tests. Past theory of intelligence has given us tests to measure intelligence as a set of cognitive processes. And it also discusses what the major processes are happening inside our brain, and it also guides us in the remediation of processing difficulties. Means if you are not understanding if you are not able to process what in your mind, so it tells you how to modify that also. The past theory tells this is said by the JP Das himself. So cognition is a dynamic process that works within the context of the individual knowledge base, as we discussed now, and its response to its experiences. So all your responses, the processing, whatever is happening, is based on your past experiences and is subject to developmental variations. So when considering the measurement of cognitive processes, it must be noted that the effective processing is accomplished through the integration of knowledge, which is already there inside our mind, and integrating it with planning, the attention, how much attention we are giving to the question or the task which is being asked, and then the simultaneous and successive process to be happened inside us as demanded by the particular task. So this is all together forms the measurement of the cognitive process. So although these processes are interrelated and they are non-stop, they are not equally involved in all the tasks. For that reason, cognitive assessment tasks for planning, for attention, and for processing were developed to adhere to past theory and predominantly require a specific cognitive process. So Das and Naglieri has also developed a battery of tests known as the cognitive assessment system. It consists of verbal as well as non-verbal tasks that measure basic cognitive functions. So this was known as cognitive assessment system. Taking the lead of Das, comma I forgot, Das ke baad comma hai, Ronning is another person, it's not Das Ronning. So taking the lead of Das, Ronning developed an ability and achievement normative taxonomies for reading and mathematics of children in the age group of 8 to 17 years. The core profiles that emerged provided important comparisons for evaluating individual profiles, as well as added to the information explaining common variabilities in the child population. So the taxonomies were based upon 711 children they were 8 to 17 years old, and standardized sample and CAS was used on this on those children who were co-administered the Woodcock-Johnson test of achievement. This test I don't know yet. Maybe we'll know further. Woodcock-Johnson test of achievement, which is revised version of Woodcock-Johnson tests of achievement. So ability reading and ability of mathematics, normaltic taxonomies were developed from the planning, attention, and processing, like simultaneous and successive processing of the CAS test, which was developed by the Das and Nagleri, in conjunction with 4 reading and 3 maths subscales. So 8 reading and 5 math clusters were identified and described using demographics and overall ability and achievement levels in the test, which was done by Ronning in 2004 to develop intervention program also. So Das and Nagleri not only gave us the past theory, they also gave us the cognitive assessment system. Using that, the Ronning did test on 711 kids. So now comes the critical appraisal of past theory. I don't know why our book, but they are very much interested in doing the critical appraisal of all the theories. So, but thankfully they are liking this theory, and they say that the past theory has provided a novel approach to assess intelligence, and it is cognitive in orientation, and it bases its test on neuropsychological theories of Luria. So means it is not totally assumption or hypothesis. It is like the anatomically is checking the brain system, neurologically, which part of the brain is being awakened by which type of processing and all. So it's quite objective, he's telling, not only subjective. Like subjective things vary person to person, but objective things you can't change from person to person. So of great importance of Das, Nagleri, and Kirby was to move away from the conventional tests of intelligence and to provide a theory-based multi-dimensional view of intelligence that is built on contemporary research on human cognition. It has a practical utility also, as we say in the CAS test. Undoubtedly, all tests of intelligence attempt at tapping cognitive aspects. However, most of them approximate to the underlying processing of informational input. So another attribute of this theory is that it has developed CAS test also, which offers a unique opportunity to examine the relative contribution of cognitive processes as a testee undergoes a testing scenario. CAS has 4 subscales named after past, and the test items are specially designed to assess a testee proficiencies in each of them separately as well as collectively. So altogether, critically, we are appraising the past theory and saying that it is quite good approach to assess the intelligence, and also it gives a good cognitive assessment system to assess or to test the cognitive function of any cognitive response of any individual. I'm done. Everyone understood it?
Pretty interesting, huh? Very nice. I love the examples you used.